are doing better than the cheaper, older ones. DK, what about exports? I mean, even now there is a bit of a jitter on the rupee. Do you think that will, because you're speaking of a global slowdown, pulling down the rate of growth next year, will exports be a concern?
Well, exports are a concern in the sense that the two of our major trading partners are expected to slow down sharply, which is Europe and US. So I think it will spill over to us. Even I think right now, if you notice, the export growth is negative.
Yes.
And reason for that is US is not doing badly right now, but their consumption pattern has shifted towards services from goods. When you consume services, you don't import that much. So that is playing out currently. Next year will be, or this year, next 9 months will be a period when the US and Europe do slow down. I think then the other merchandise exports will get impacted even more. But there are some pockets of resilience where I think Hetal has done some work. Maybe you should point out.
Yeah, I think, when you look at exports and when you look at past downturns, you see that countries which have more commoditized exports actually tend to get impacted much more sharply.
Which ours are.
Yes, during downturns. What has started happening, and when you split your top 10 verticals and look at those verticals, you see the same trend. You will see pharma, medical devices, not really getting impacted so much, but all the other categories, you will see a very sharp impact. What we are seeing now is that, as DK pointed out, you will see a structural pull down that's happening to exports. But there is also a support that is coming in because a lot of PLI capacities are getting commissioned. And, there is almost $150 billion worth of potential that the government has highlighted. All of that can immediately not come in. But as the capacities get phased off, you have an opportunity where you can do an incremental $25 billion worth of exports in the merchandise category thanks to these capacities getting commissioned. That will provide some support, and hence the kind of drop that you may see will not be as you have seen in the past.
Oh, yeah. That's a positive.
Yeah.
Okay, now to the dangers to your forecast. A broad brush appears to be inflation and, in the medium term, climate. Can you add a little?
Well, I think inflation is a worry currently. I think, and the worry is more from the weather side. I think you already had a heat wave, and wheat inflation rose, cereal inflation rose, and we are still suffering. And there's another heat wave in the making, so to say. It's not materialized fully as yet. And on top of that, you have El Nino prediction which means less rainfall. So I think food will be one category as far as inflation is concerned that will need very, very close monitoring. So I think weather-related shocks are also important, apart from the fact that core inflation still continues to remain very sticky. And I think some pipeline pressure on core is reducing as visible in WPI. But I think there is still margin pressure also on the company. So they will, I think, try to use it as much as they can. So I think this is the climate side, I think, of inflation, which is a worry. The second question I think related question you had was, sorry.
No, which are the two risks to growth? That was my question.
Yeah, I think this is clearly one. The second, I think, risk to growth, you can look at it the West. I mean, how volatile the situation is. If the downturn there is more severe, I think that will clearly spill over to us. But I also wanted to point out, I think, just to add to the previous question, if I may, I think what is happening globally is a growth rotation. China is picking up, US and Europe are slowing down. That is net negative for India because we export 6 times more to Europe, which is coming down, and US, which is coming down more sharply than to China. But some other countries like Australia, etc., will benefit a lot from this growth rotation. We will not.
Well, hopefully the China +1 will lessen the negative for us. Take your point on that. Thank you very much, Hetal and DK, for whetting our appetite. We will read the report more closely and come back with more questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.